Hi and welcome back to my workshop. This is Lucas, a violin maker in Cremona. This is the second part of the series, How to Become a Violin Maker, and the first one of the interviews that I'm going to be doing. In this opportunity, I get to talk to Lisa Hellmich, who is a violin maker in Germany, so make sure to check her out. But I will let her introduce herself and talk a bit about her Mittenwald experience. The recording was made on March of this year, but only now I managed to edit and post it. Sorry about that. So keep in mind that there might be some slight differences, in particular regarding the cost of life. Now with that said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to hit the like button if you're interested in this type of content, and let's get into the interview. Hi Lisa, nice to meet you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Lisa Hellmich. I'm a violin maker in Munich, and I've learned violin making in Mittenwald. And thank you for inviting me. And I'm really looking forward to talk to you today.
And thank you for coming. So you said you studied in Mittenwald. Would you like to tell me a bit about the institution? How is it like in there?
Yeah, so Mittenwald, I guess it's one of the, like Cremona, one of the most known schools where you can learn violin making or instrument making in general. It's located in the Bavarian mountains, close to the border to Austria, and also not so far from Italy. Yeah. It's a state vocational school where students can apply for a full-time or a part-time program. And yeah.
So how many hours do you have of workshop there? You say there's a part-time or a full-time. Is it all workshop? Is it always working?
I think they changed the program a little bit after I left school. When I was there, it was like in the morning we had practical, we were learning how to make violins, violas and cellos, and in the afternoon we had theory, but now they combined everything. So if you have a special step like making the arching or something like that, they combine it with the theory about different archings and measures. Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think it probably makes a bit more sense that it's all combined. So you get to listen to it and then just do it rather than two separate things, and then you might forget what you just heard, what you heard before, sorry. So is it more specialized towards construction, restoration, or does it focus on both things?
I would say the main focus is on new making, and this is really the first thing that you learn is how the construction of everything works, and also the physics. They have a really modern way to measure everything and maybe study how the characteristics of the sound and the construction come together. So this was really, really interesting. Yeah, and this is quite a big focus in Mittenwald. But in the last year, so it's 3 years you go to the school, and I would say 2 years are new making and 1 year is repair, setup, and retouch. Yeah.
Okay, so everyone gets both, let's say. Everyone gets those 2
Yeah.
years of construction and that 1 year of restoration. Okay, that is interesting. Can you, if you want to, or if you can, let's say, expand a bit more on this physics correlation towards the sound and this new modern thing that you mentioned?
This is quite difficult to explain.
Yeah, I'm actually interested. So if you can, then it's fine. But I was very curious.
I try my best. So yeah, we have physics, acoustics, and mathematics as a training. And with our instruments, we start, not just measuring the thicknesses and the arching, but we also measure the frequencies and with different methods. So we try to find out what's the difference if you knock the fingerboard, for example, or at different places. And in the end, we try to find out what might be important for a good instrument.
I always say
can't
that.
Explain it better.
I think I know what you mean. I always
Yeah.
say that everything makes a difference and nothing makes a difference. Like if you say, do you really think that maybe tuning a fingerboard or something like that, it is going to make a difference? I probably say no, but if you then start adding these things and like, yeah, all those things combined eventually will probably end up making a difference.
It's interesting to have this mathematic view or this physical view on something, but it's a lot about intuition and experience. And this part for me is even more important. It's always nice to measure something and know, it's now this is this frequency, but in the end, for me, the feeling of the wood and the experience.
Yeah, I always say that I kind of started, let's say, caring less about those specific measurements or like tuning the plates and the right weight and all of those things, which now I always check and I always write down. But I remember there was one instrument in particular which I made, which wasn't tuned where it was supposed to be tuned. It was a bit heavier than I wanted it to be, but I was already for what I tend to do. Let's say I was quite lower on the lower side of the thicknesses from what I do. So I said, okay, I really don't want to make this any thinner, and everyone loved that instrument. I sold it almost immediately after. Everyone loved it. It had a great sound. So that was for me like the moment when I said, okay,
yeah,
it makes sense to have some idea of those things. Yeah. So you know more or less a path to take, but at the end of the day, you need to rely on your intuition a bit and that experience that you get over time.
Yes, exactly.
So you were talking about the enrollment. How is the process? Is it difficult to enroll to a school? Do they have any? Is it in German?
Yes, it's like almost everything in Germany. It's quite complicated and it takes some time to prepare everything to apply for the school, because you have to write, it has to be in German, and you have to approve that you got the B2 level in German language, because the teachers, they speak German. And yeah, so you have to send a drawing of a scroll, a freehand drawing, and apply there. And then you get invited and have to go through a 2-day, how's it called, test.
Yep.
So they test your abilities in playing the instrument. So you have to prove that you had lessons for 2 years. Then you have two craft tests.
Yep.
For example, you get a part of a puzzle, and you have to make the exact other part of the puzzle, or you have to memorize something and then paint it just from remembering and cut it like that. Yeah, because they want to see how is your, how you approach to this to
the puzzle solving, let's say.
Yeah exactly.
Mention that like that, I'm not sure I would be able to pass the enrollment exam.
It's quite difficult,
especially the drawing the scroll freehand. Oh gosh, I'm not good at freehand drawing.
Yeah, I also know some students who come from a family where the parents were violin makers, and they actually tried it 2 or 3 times. So I was really, really lucky to do it at the first try.
And when does the school starts?
The school starts in September, and they also have the regular Bavarian holidays like the school, so you have a lot of free time.
Okay, that's good.
And you have to apply until 28th of February, so we are a bit
yeah, by the time we're recording it, it's just finished. I think it's the same for the Cremona school. I think here it's also during the month of February only the enrollment, and then it starts in September, and we get the typical school holidays. And do you have any other subjects which are different to, let's say, violin making and history? Oh, and speaking of learning, if you're a violinist or if you want to learn the instrument, I wanted to share with you that I recently started a new collaboration with Tonebase. They are a platform that offer unique masterclasses for violinists from world-renowned musicians. And they have a special discount deal for my followers, offering a 30% off and a 14-day trial using the code Fabroviolins. So I'm going to leave a link to that on the description below.
We have art, art history, music theory, but we also learn how to sell and how to make, this word is difficult, how to, the whole financial part of violin making, so how to calculate the price of the instrument, and yeah.
That's amazing.
Marketing.
That's the first school that I hear that is doing that, and I always think it's kind of they should do more. I feel a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, they also started to add marketing and how to make a website or make a flyer or yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how many people are there in the school, more or less? Like in each year, how are the years divided?
They accept up to 12 violin makers per year.
Okay,
so all in all, they have 36 violin makers, but some of the students don't pass the school, so they have to leave. But they also have brass instrument makers and guitar, no, woodwind instrument makers. So it's for all the instrument makers, not just violin making. So
it's 12 in total, including wind makers, violin makers.
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. I would say 100 or maybe more.
Oh, okay. Combined, it's a big institution, let's say.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And how many teachers are there for year? Let's say these 12 students that you get, are they all under the same teacher for the 3 years, or it's a bit different?
No, they have different teachers for every school year, but they might have changed that. I'm not 100% sure. So they have 2 workshops for new making, and every workshop has 1 main teacher, but you switch teachers from year to year, so you don't have always the same teacher, which is quite nice because you get a lot of information and maybe a different approach. Yeah. Which was quite good for me, because sometimes this one approach is not the best for the student, and another teacher can show maybe how to do it differently. So that's quite good. Yeah, it's something so subjective by the making, and the way you approach an instrument, and the way people explain things. I have whenever I'm trying to explain something, I have a very physical view of explaining things, especially like how a tool works, and I go on, okay, a plane is supposed to be flat and it's supposed to cut by difference. Like I have a very physical, in that way, approach of explaining on the physics properly, but some other people might have a very different one, and I usually don't get that way. Yeah. You were talking about, for example, that you get lessons on how to market yourself, or how to decide the price of an instrument, how to so now that we're in the costs and prices topics, what is the cost of living around the city? Like flats and bills, taxes. What are how difficult is it? I would say it's not that difficult because there are no school fees. You just have to pay for the rent and food and all these kind of things you need wherever you want to live.
Yeah.
And in Mittenwald, they have, they have rent different kinds of houses where just students, and some of them are very, very basic. They heat with fire and with wood, and to live there, it's quite, not expensive at all. I paid maybe 300 euros for my room, but I had a really nice flat, which I shared with one person. Yeah, and there are, if you are German, you can apply for, it's called BAföG. It's like, for all the people who want to study, they get this money, but they have to pay it back after they finished.
Okay.
But if you apply for Mittenwald, you don't have to pay this money back. So this is a very nice opportunity for people when their parents don't have enough money to support them.
Yeah, and do students usually share the flats as you did? Or they live by themselves? Yeah.
There are some who live alone. There are a lot of possibilities, and yeah.
And is it normal as well if they're maybe sharing a flat to be sharing a workshop or to have a room dedicated for having a workbench and some
Yes,
things?
yes. I had my workplace also at home, and I built up my own workshop, and I also practiced outside of the school.
So I think quite similar to how it is in here.
Yeah.
Like everyone has, or at least it's kind of important to have your own workshop at home. You always want to do more than just what you can do at school.
Yeah.
And what about, you mentioned you have this, let's say, scholarship to, if you want to do the schooling, if you're German. But what about if you want to get a job while studying? Is it possible to get a part-time job and do the school at the same time to pay for the cost of living, even if it's not related to violin making?
Yes, it's possible. And I also did a part-time job. I worked in a bar for 1 or 2 evenings, and they have a lot of restaurants where they are always looking for people to work there. Some other friends worked in hotels at the reception, or there are all these kind of jobs you can find everywhere. You can work in a supermarket, but the best work possibility is to work in Elmau. This is the really nice hotel where the G7, it's a very nice, maybe you can cut this. It's a very nice hotel where also musicians come and do workshops and give concerts. And I was there as a page turner. So I went to the concerts. I was waiting in the backstage with the musicians and saw a lot of great violins like Stradivari and everything. And I turned pages and got money for it. It was the best job ever.
That's amazing. Yeah, you got to meet new people related to what you want to do in the future, and you get paid for it.
Yes.
Okay, better than that. So I think you're just touching on what I want what I wanted to be the next topic, which is what does the city has to offer, especially as a violin maker. So, for example, you get these concerts, I suppose.
Yes, we were able to visit the concerts for 10 euros, and usually they were much more expensive. So they had they worked together with the school. Mittenwald is known for the beautiful landscape because it's quite in the middle of the mountains, and you can go skiing, you can go hiking, climbing, biking.
All the outdoor activities.
Yeah, every kind of outdoor activity. it's a small village, so it's more about friendship and spending the evenings together, because the next bigger city is half an hour away by car. And yeah, there you also have a cinema and other possibilities. Yeah, so you have to be a friend of outdoor and friendship and spending the evenings on the fire, talking to each other.
Yeah, very simplistic way of living, let's say, in that sense. I've never been to Mittenwald, and of course I would love to. But yeah, I've heard it's a very small city. Do you know more or less how many people live there?
No, I don't know.
Have you've been to Cremona, right?
I've been there, a couple of times.
Is Mittenwald smaller?
Yes.
Yeah, like much
Very
smaller.
small.
Okay. Yeah, as I haven't been, I've always been curious to know what
you
to
go
expect.
there. They have a museum, and they have a day where the school is open for visitors, where everybody can come and see how everything works and talk to the teachers, talk to the students. I think it's in May.
At some point, I wanted to have to make like let's say a holiday, visiting all the violin making, let's say most important places, historical places such as Mittenwald, where there's a school, or even let's say Genova, where you have the Il Canone. So, but then I think I gave up on the idea when I stopped taking holidays at all. So
I know.
So I just gave up to that idea, and now I just travel to wherever the business takes me, let's say, which is nice as well. I get to go to places which maybe I wouldn't have gone anyway, if not. So it's nice. So we were just talking about the jobs that you can get while studying. What about after finishing school? Is it possible to get a job as a violin maker there in Mittenwald? Is it difficult to get a job in violin making? Do people usually go to other cities?
Yeah, people usually go to other cities. In Mittenwald, there are a few violin makers, but most of the students, I think they want to go somewhere else after. Even if Mittenwald is very beautiful, yeah, usually they go somewhere else, maybe also to another country. Yeah, so if you have a place in mind where you want to work, for example, if you say, I want to go to Berlin, it might be difficult to find a job just the time you need it. And yeah, it's not that easy, but if you are open to work wherever until you maybe have your own workshop, it's fine to find a job.
I guess it's always comes down to experience of building your career, building your CV, let's say, and once you have a CV, it's probably easy to find a job, whether in Berlin, where it's I'm guessing quite difficult, or just by then you have your own workshop that already has a reputation, and then you can be wherever you want.
Yes.
So this also kind of leads me to my next question, will be, what do you think is the biggest challenge in violin making, being a violin maker?
There are a lot of challenges. At work, I think a challenge, but it's also exciting to get to know the clients and find or make an instrument which fits to the characteristics and to their ideal sound, idea of the sound they want to have. This is, for me, a very interesting challenge. Yeah, but in violin in general, people don't know a lot about violin making. That's why you might have started your YouTube channel, and I did as well, because often they say, why is it so expensive? And oh, isn't violin making dead already? And I want to yeah, I want to spread the knowledge and be more open. And this is quite a challenge to tell the people and show them what violin making actually is, and that it's absolutely not dead. And we are doing a lot of work. And yeah,
I think we're always more and more, and I see it growing instead of dying. You touched a very good point there. I always say that it was kind of probably one of the main reasons why I started making the YouTube videos is people don't understand why there is so much work behind every single instrument. And then I always say make very long and boring videos, because I don't want to make a 10-minute video that says this is how a violin is made and that's it. Because if not, people think, oh, okay, it might not be done in 10 minutes. It might take 30 minutes.
Yes. And they just, yeah. And usually they see just a little part of the whole thing. And we had to record like 200 hours to show them how to make a violin, maybe.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I think it's important to try to, as you said, to try to spread it, to try to spread the knowledge. And everyone has different techniques. There are always going to be comments. I think probably one of the biggest, let's say, fears in doing YouTube videos on your work is like someone is always going to comment something negative. That's always going to happen, no matter in which profession you are, no matter what you're doing. There is always someone who's going to be the expert who maybe never did it, but he's still going to be the expert, let's say, on the subject. And another reason why I went into YouTube is I'm a big YouTube consumer. I'm always watching things on YouTube, and I thought this is kind of the way I feel like I have to give something back. And I always think, oh, it's so amazing that you want to find a YouTuber on whatever profession, whatever, and you always find it. So I thought it would be cool as well if there are more violin makers and you have different options and things to expect. But yeah. I love YouTube. I have to admit that I'm always with YouTube. I'm working, and if it's not music, it's a podcast, it's a lesson or something, I'm always watching YouTube.
Yeah, me too.
That's amazing. So, and to go back to the challenges, that one you mentioned, I think I tend to overlook, and it's a very true one, like people not knowing much about it and having the challenge of satisfying the exact needs of the client, which the client might not even know what their needs are, because they don't know much. So it's kind of a circle. I always say that probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest challenges is learning to deal with rejection. Because the first years, you're always going to get rejected. No one is going to like your first instruments, and you're going to get a lot of no's until you then start. Yeah, at least for me, and I think for all the other interviews that I've been making, that seemed to be kind of a common thing. But maybe you were lucky and you were good from the beginning, or not good, but you were not as bad as I was.
Yeah, luckily the instruments I made during my time in Mittenwald, I didn't see them anymore. So, and the ones I made afterwards, yeah, you always see your mistakes, but I think the customers and the clients, what's the mistake?
It's also again very subjective. But yeah, I'm probably talking more about those very first instruments. Which I looked back at them and I was like, oh. And then even if you want to sell that, then it's like, I
can't sell. I couldn't sell them. I didn't want to sell them because
I
don't want my name to be in this violin. And
exactly. But it happens to some people that it might be their only way of living, like. Or they're very tight economically, and then they're like, okay, I need to do whatever, even selling this instrument. And and they struggle even if it's for a very cheap price, just because it's not good. And even if you don't ask a lot, if you're not asking a lot for something that it's not good, it's still too expensive. So now that we talked about the biggest challenge, the question would be, what is your favorite part, the best part about being a violin maker?
The best part for me is the moment when the client comes to pick up the instrument. And yeah, I had this moment last week. There was one person who saw my violin in the internet and called me and said, hey, can I come by tomorrow? And I didn't know him. I didn't know anything, but he really liked how my violin looked like. And he came and he played 2 notes and he said, wow, this is my violin. And I had goosebumps, he had goosebumps, and it was just the best moment ever. So this is really for me so satisfying, and I almost get tears because I've never dreamed of doing something. Before I became a violin maker, I was playing on a very high level myself. So there was always this path for me to become a violin player, and to be a violin maker now and have this gift of the instrument and the sound. This is just amazing for me.
What now that you're touching that topic, what made you change from that path? Because as you said, you were already on that direction.
Yeah, I was quite perfectionistic, and it led to very strong depressions. And I was at a point where violin playing wasn't any fun for me anymore. So I made a cut and I didn't play for 2 years. And this was a very hard time where I tried to find myself and see what else Lisa can do, because the only thing that I could was playing the violin and nothing else. And so I used this knowledge and I found Mittenwald, and I said, okay, Lisa, this time you will be better. Don't be this, be nice to yourself and don't be that perfectionistic about your instruments. And until now, I'm really happy. I'm not struggling anymore.
You know, it's very interesting something you just said, because I did the interview to a person in Chicago. And my next question was going to be, what's the best piece of advice that you got from a violin maker? And his answer was that the best piece of advice that he got was that it's just a violin, which I think it's kind of related to what you just said. Like, it's not that there are not mistakes, and it's not that you have to overlook at mistakes, but at the end of the day, it's just a violin. And we take it so personal because
yes,
it is part of what we do, and we spend so many hours, as we said there. But at the end of the day, it is just a violin.
Yeah.
So do you think you have any good advice that you were given by a former teacher or a colleague? Yeah, he asked me that question too, and I had to think hard about it. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's difficult. So I would say always do your best, but don't be too harsh, and let go the instruments and start a new one. And I don't know, maybe this is not poetic enough, but
no. I think what I think it's interesting is, at least for the people that I've talked to so far, we all tend to agree that probably the best advice is kind of related to this, which is, I like the words that he said, like, it's just a violin, which at the end, in a way, it sounds like we're like not being nice enough about it, but but I think it's the idea of there are more or other important things in the world as well to worry about, and this is just a violin, so we need to relax probably a bit in that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think we all kind of agree on that. I don't know about you, but for what he told me, this guy from Chicago, and from my own experience, and I think probably it is the case for you. You work many hours, like many hours. I don't know if you have weekends, holidays. I don't know how you distribute that, but yeah, usually they don't exist.
Yeah.
So I think that advice is probably very important, especially if we decide to have this lifestyle of not having a lot of free time. So yeah, you were going to say about your non-existing holidays.
Yeah, for this year, I said I want to have at least a long weekend. But it's so hard because I just love violin making, and it's so hard to stop and to not finish it. And I don't know why you work that much, but for me, it's if I start something, I want to finish it.
Yeah, I'm probably a workaholic. I'm not afraid to admit it. And I don't know if you've seen, like, for example, whenever I send you the emails, it tend to be like a 2-1 or something like that. It's probably when I've done editing the YouTube videos, because I work normally during the day and I try to edit from like something like 11 to 1 or something like that. So yeah, it seems to be kind of a thing, let's say, for violin makers, that we tend to work quite a lot.
Yeah, we live in our own world, and it's like a bubble.
And it's hard to stop, and many times it's just ourselves putting this let's say pressure or this idea. But at least for me, it happens as well that whenever I take kind of a day off, or I say, okay, I want to take a day off, after a while I'm like, what do I do now? Even if I have a lot of other things that I would love to do, but then I'm like, I really want to go back to the workbench.
Yeah, I also don't know what to do. Okay, sometimes I play violin, or I paint something, but I'm always nervous, and I feel, yeah, I have to go back and do something on the workbench.
It's an amazing, lovely feeling on one side, and on the other side it's like, I guess you all know that it's probably not right, that it's a bit wrong, let's say, but as long as we enjoy it, I think.
Yes.
I think that's amazing. Is there yeah, go on, sorry.
I just wanted to say that I will visit you in Cremona, and we will at least take the evening off, and but we can talk about violin making.
That would be nice. Yeah, that would be something new, let's say, in my lifestyle. I wanted to ask you if there's something else you want to add, something you think that you might have forgotten, or just something in general, something new you would like to discuss.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that the website from Mittenwald is really nice, and you have like 8 options for the language, and you find everything, all of your questions. If someone has still questions, just visit the website and you will find answers.
Okay, that's good. I'm probably going to put all the links below as well as also yours. So yeah, that's, I think if there's nothing else to say, I think that's it. Again, thank you very much for joining and for your time, which, as we have discussed just now, is very precious and everything. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And hopefully see you soon.
Hopefully, yes. Bye.
Bye.
So that was the interview for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below if you did, and if there's anything else you have wanted me to ask. Now with that said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, to hit the like button, and I will see you next time.